Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today we're going to talk about baseball back Johnny and Chief Suckums and their little trip to Philadelphia. We got some inside information on their little trip that you guys might not be aware of. So there's some people in the comments section. It's always people in the comments section that talk their shit, but it's okay because that's all they have, you know. William, what's up, man? How are you? Thanks for joining me. Mustang Mike, what's going on? Maureen, how are you? Raekwon, Thomas, Sadia, what's going on? Ronan, how are you? Thanks for joining me this afternoon. Salvatore, Mike, got a lot of people in the house. The room's filling up quickly. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch this show. Dean, Yaz, The Truth, Giovanni. Always did like those Philly Italian guys. They always were underestimated. Italian Stallion, how are you? John, Mickey Greggs, Full Green Light, Chief Suckums. Chief Suckums. Every time he does an interview, that's what I see. This is all I see when I see his interviews. He's just lying on a lot of them, just embellishing, and that's what these guys do. So we're going to get into their little trip to Philly. Now, why you would take a pre-recorded video in the back of an Uber is beyond me. How come you don't go live and let the people know where you are? Instead of doing pre-recorded videos and dropping them after you left and shit like that. Like you're driving around in an Uber and you're like, we're in Philly. You should have went somewhere, like a location. You guys are scared. You guys won't go nowhere in Philly. Get out the car. You guys sneak into places, take little videos, and then take off. That's what they do. But we're going to get into their little video. Let's check out their video in the back of the Uber.
Obviously, you see me and Gene together again for the first time in a little while.
Hey, guys.
And Mafia unveiled the John and Gene show.
Look at him trying to suck his lips in.
We're back.
That's right. So we're gonna give you something live right now. We're touring right now. We're going to where I'm not allowed, Philadelphia.
In the back of an Uber, right? Taking a pre-recorded video in the back of an Uber. Real tough, guys. Shows who you are. Like, come on, man. You guys' card is pulled. Painfully obvious. Go live from Gino's Steakhouse. Go live from South Philly. Go live from the Rocky statue and stay there for about 2 hours. Bet you won't do that. Bet you won't go live from Philly and tell everyone where you are. Why won't you do that? I'm just curious.
Oh, so what do you guys say about that?
Well, here's what I got to say. You just got back from California, Vegas. You were flying all over the place.
With his rat tour. He went on a rat tour. His little tour. He leaves the house once in his life, and that's his tour.
Following back after my tour that I just did. Now we're going to be touring together. And after this, we'll be shipping out again and probably leaving the country for a couple of weeks.
Good. That's the best news I've heard all fucking year. You're going to ship out of the country? Stay over there, wherever you go. Stay there. Take your fucking FBI handler with you. You should do that. Yeah, let me show you. You should take this FBI handler with you, this corrupt agent. Because you guys are sitting in the back of a fucking Uber. We're in Philly. We're tough. Get the fuck out of here. Why don't you go to Queens and see a couple of my friends want to have a conversation with both of you? So why don't you go do that for the kids, of course?
Down in Florida from the East Coast to the West Coast. And we're going to dive into what you just said about you're not able to go into Philly. So I know you got an issue going on.
He's like, you're not able to go to Philly. That's why we're hiding in the back of an Uber. We're not going to tell anybody where we're going. We're going to drop these videos after. They're in Philly, but they left and dropped the videos after they left. That's some gangster shit, ain't it?
Back and forth with Joey Molino, but I have a different take on Joe. You know, I live down there, and
I hear damage control. That's what I'm hearing from Johnny Boy here, because he knows Joey Molino and their whole crew were serious guys. He knows that. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing damage control. Mr. Dick Lips here stepped in a pile of shit.
I always looked at him as a gangster, and I know a lot of his guys. I grew up with them. I was in jails with them, and my problem's not with Joey. Joey was the reason why I like Joey is he was good to his friends. He did work himself. He likes to be public. That's on him. We all have our whatever we are, and we do.
Why is all of a sudden Johnny Eletto sticking up for this guy? It's kind of weird. Gene is slowly fading away, doing any podcasts he can to talk shit about Joey. It's already old. The hype is gone, and he's bleeding every drop of this. The hype, but he will be in Florida prison soon, 100%. Now, you hear Eletto talking about Joey, right? Now, listen to what Eletto was doing with his kid.
You're saying there were times when your son came with you?
He was there on an occasion or two, yeah. I left him in the car. I went out and I shot a guy, and I walked back in the car. He heard
Father of the
the
Year.
gunshots. And I used to joke with him. You went on your first hit at 7 years old.
Do they come after you?
Wow, that's very commendable, Johnny. That's very commendable. You brought your son on a shooting. Was it the two girls you killed in the nightclub? Or was it the teenagers you shot? Because I know you didn't shoot no bouncers. There's no record of that. So I'm just curious.
But my thing's with Sammy Gravano. Sammy Gravano's a fraud. He's not Joey.
Now listen to this. Johnny Boy here has a problem with Sammy Gravano. And this guy loves Sammy Gravano. Matter of fact, he's going to be going on Sammy Gravano's show. And did you guys know that Sammy Gravano dropped his rate to do interviews? It used to be $800. Now it's $400. So what about all the people that paid that $800? Pretty pissed, huh? These guys are fading into nothing. I'm gonna bring you the real guys who were there, who didn't cooperate, who know that these guys are frauds. And you guys will see what I've been working on very soon.
When they didn't go out there and do no work, Sammy ratted on a girl, a woman. He gave her a ton of fucking boatload of time, and Sammy's out there hiding. So that's my take on what my issue is with Sammy. There's a big comparison and difference.
What is it, suckums? Please do interject.
Big difference to me who was a gangster and who wasn't a gangster.
No, I got a different outtake on that. I'm the opposite. So
It's all right.
Well, I know who's not the gangster in this car right here. The driver is more of a gangster than both of these fucking twats. And that's the truth.
A lot of our opinions. I mean, I try to keep it as real as possible. I don't just bash somebody.
Yeah, 100%. I just feel that he came on air and he decided to say he was going to come at all of us. So what he didn't know is that I'm relentless and I'm never going to stop. So I'm
never going to stop either.
came at me. He said some things, and now, and not only that, he's talking about rats. His uncle's a rat. His uncle's a huge rat.
So Joey Merlino addressed the thing about his uncle being a rat, and he said he doesn't like him as much as he doesn't like you guys. Now, you guys think that you're forming this rat mafia together, and you think you're like powerful or something. You're not. You definitely are not. Definitely the opposite of gangsters. And I'm not a gangster. I'm telling you right now, I am not a gangster. I'm a host. I do videos. This is all satire. This is for entertainment purposes only. I do not wish harm on these people. This is purely entertainment purposes only. So, like these guys, they want you to believe that they're the toughest gangsters in the world. Take a look.
Oh, we have John Elite in the house, former enforcer and hitman for the Gotti and Gambino crime family.
Watch the smirk.
How are you?
Is that a fair description of your former life?
Yeah, that's a fair description.
Yeah, for fair description of the lies you tell. You were not a hitman for the Gambino family. You were not a part of the Gambino family. You slept over Junior's house. You had birthday cake with them. So what part of that is Gambino family? Please tell me, Johnny boy.
Description of my former life, yes, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is your first time here, so let's go ahead and get into your whole story. So your family's actually Albanian.
Correct.
Okay, and I guess your grandfather came over?
Yeah, my grandfather came over initially, yeah. Left the rest of the family in Albania.
Okay, and then your dad was actually born here as well as you?
No, my dad was born in Albania, and my grandfather went back a couple of times, and then he eventually brought the whole family here.
Got it. So here you are, you're growing up in this Albanian family, and this was in Queens?
Queens, yeah, Woodhaven, Jamaica Avenue.
Got it. And growing up, you had a fairly rough childhood. It was, I guess your dad raised you guys to be fighters at a very early age.
Yeah, well, because of the situation in Albania, suppression, and, when he came to the city, he grew up himself in Delancey and Rivington, which was back then known as a big hub for gangsters like Vito Genovese and guys like that. So he understood the street and he understood suffering, so he wanted to make sure that me and my brother and some...
This is the type of shit they promote, because this is the type of stuff that this one likes to do. That's how gangster he is. Let's hear what they got to say.
Okay, why don't he go talk about his uncle who ratted? And from what I hear, still talks to him. So it doesn't make any sense, you know what I mean?
His uncle's dead. So what the fuck is he talking about?
He still talks to that guy Leatherface. What's his name? Leatherface, what I was telling you about.
Yeah, I don't know who that is.
The guy with the leather face. I forgot his name. The fucking, he had a show, whatever. He's a fucking rat. He hangs out with him. He still talks to him all the
Look at Gene trying to be a tough guy. I think the connection is a little slow. If it's glitching, I apologize. It'll catch up. Salvatore, it's a shame Gene and Johnny and Sammy and Dum Dum, etc. can stay on YouTube when all they talk about is the violence that they screwed Joey for swearing or whatever bullshit they were trying to say. It's crazy. He has a new business, the door fixing business. A rat calling a rat a rat. It's pretty funny, ain't it? Yeah, it's hilarious. That's all they had is pillow fights. Yeah, Johnny Boy here has love for Sammy Gravano. Or no, he does. He has love for Gravano. He's got love for Joey Merlino. It's just weird dynamic. Now they're arguing who's a bigger gangster. Well, I know who's not a bigger gangster out of the two of you. The driver's a bigger gangster than you guys. Your Uber driver is a bigger gangster than you two.
Oh, you're talking about the guy I used to do shows with.
Yeah, the guy used to
before.
do shows
Tommy.
with.
Tommy is an informant.
Tommy's a fucking rat. He's sitting there talking to him, hanging out with him, everything in prison.
Yeah,
I don't understand that. You don't bring that up, though. The guy Tommy with the TV show. What's the show called?
Yeah, I don't know what he calls the show, but yeah, I was doing for a while. I was doing shows with him out in Boca.
And Joey's good
Palm
friends
Beach.
with him. He's a fucking rat. He's an informant. So it doesn't make any sense. He's picking and choosing. He's doing what everybody else does. See, my opinion on Sammy Gravano, I'm going to be honest with you, he was the underboss of the Gambino family at the end of the day. And whether he killed himself or not, it's still 19 murders, Johnny. You know what I'm saying? It's still 19 people that he killed or killed. You know what I'm saying? It's still...
Listen, but Sammy gives a...
I know how many people you didn't kill, Gino. You want to be this big gangster. You want to be known for all this shit that you didn't do. This is how gangster you are.
Paying for these women?
Yeah.
Paying for these women?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where are they from again?
You're crazy.
It's fucking see-through. It's like skin. It's just like it's fucking see-through. It's like skin. It's just like
Oh my god!
Where? Where?
Huh? That's how gangster you are, right? That's the type of shit you do. Now watch, they argue and then the thing just cuts off. Uber driver must have arrived at their destination and they didn't want the address to be known. That's why they didn't go live. That's why they will not go live from Philadelphia.
It doesn't make any sense. He's picking and choosing. He's doing what everybody else does. See, my opinion on Sammy Gravano, I'm going to be honest with you, he was the underboss of the Gambino family at the end of the day. And whether he killed himself or not, it's still 19 murders, Johnny. You know what I'm saying? It's still 19 people that he killed or killed. You know what I'm saying? It's still...
Sammy Gravano was a made man. That was something that both of you guys were never going to get. You were never getting your button, ever. I don't care if you paid $1 million. You weren't getting a button. You weren't worth it. You guys were throwaways. That's what you were. Like, I don't know if you guys comprehend all this, but it's the truth. You weren't in the Gambino family. This guy was not on record with anyone. They were using him. And he followed orders. And that's it. And then he cooperated when it's time to be a gangster. Now you get out after you cooperate. You have a new life. A new lease on life. Now you want to be a gangster?
Little fucking midget mafia, Joey Molino got something to say about me. Joey, you're 4'2". I see you in Tampa, I'll slap you around. Okay, you're the boss of 3 guys, the Philadelphia Mafia. You actually be a member in your family, I'd rather be a Latin king. Okay? Get lost, you're an active mob boss on YouTube, you're a fucking clown turd.
I did this to the door. I pushed the door in. You're a dirty whore. That's what you are. Look, tell everybody how you fucked 100 guys. Tell everybody that on YouTube. Tell everybody that. Tell everybody you fucked your neighbor. Matter of fact, let me go talk to Andrew. I know we have, I can't really get in touch with you, so the bullshit we going through is fucking stupid as fighting. You want to play games? I'm standing every single one of them.
Hey, Johnny, look what I found. Tools of the trade, huh? Yeah, how come you're not showing any landmarks in Philadelphia? I'm just curious. No landmarks? Why's that? I know why. You know why. How come you won't show where you guys are? How come you won't go to a well-known place and go live? Just curious. Why the pre-recorded videos? Just odd, isn't it? Don't you guys think that's odd? Nick, what's up, man? Bruno, Nico, why haven't they showed sites on the show? to where they are. Or did they? No. Listen, anything they showed was all pre-recorded. They showed it afterwards.
But Sammy gives a listen. We're going to do a show on Sicario.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about shooters. And Sammy isn't that guy. That's why.
I mean, people hound us in the comments with Sammy this, Sammy, get Sammy. And I think people really want to hear your take on, you know, what he's doing today. I know he has a brand new podcast that he's starting. He puts.
So now, do you guys remember the video where Aletto here said that he started Gravano at the podcast? So why'd you have to give him $3,000? Just curious. And if you started him with doing podcasts, why wouldn't he have you on his show? I know why. Because you're no good. You're no good. You're a no good. You're like a double no good. He's even willing to have this jerk off on his podcast. That's insane. Whoever puts them on their podcast, you are lowering the level of your guests. Because this guy ain't worth shit. He'll be in a prison cell very soon. You'll see.
Great videos up, and I'll let you kind of talk about that.
You know, for the people that ask, I've told them over and over again, eventually I'll be on and do something with Sammy. Sammy will be on with us. We are friends, and he's got his own show coming out, his own podcast coming out, and it's going to be the life of Sammy Gravano on the boss of the Gambino family.
Wait. Why the change of heart? I'm just curious. Why the change of heart, Johnny? Now you love him? It's all just really weird.
Back in the day, did you ever know an Albanian gangster, or did you ever have problems with Albanians?
I did know Albanian guys who were real tough. You could call them gangsters. I never had a problem with them. They were always pretty good. Some of them knew my family, my kids, my daughter, and people growing up. They were younger than me. They seemed like good guys. And a couple of other Albanians I met who were full of shit. Make-believe gangsters. Now, I don't want to put names out.
Now, why would Sammy say that about Aletto? Why would he say make-believe gangster when he was vouching for you not too long ago? Just doesn't make sense. Because these guys are all trash. All of them. Sammy, Aletto, Chief Suckums. They're all trash. Every single one of them. So I don't care what anyone says. These guys will never change. They don't want to help nobody. They're just in it for monetary gain. And they don't give a shit about no one but their self. Have you ever seen Aletto here helping kids? I haven't. Not once. But listen, watch this. How he was involved with the Spark Steakhouse shit.
We get some 911 texts on our beepers. Back in those days, it was beepers. And I kept getting them 911, 911. And behind the 911, I'm getting 98. That means come to the club on 98th Street or Bergen. So,
come now, the birthday cake's getting cold. Come now, the ice cream cake is melting, Johnny. Make sure you come quick. The ice cream cake is melting. And we just hit Paul. Yeah, all right.
So I know something happened.
All right, so just remember this. Keep this in your mind, right? The assassination of Paul Castellano happened in 1985. So he's saying that he got a call. They beat him to go to the Bergen. But wait.
It's all over the news. It's flashed everywhere.
That's how he knew something happened, because he's seen it on the news. He had no inside information about this. And he's Albanian. He's not in the mob. They would not give him any information about anything going on. Junior didn't even know about this shit.
Paul Castellano was hit in front of Sparks Steakhouse.
Big Paul Castellano, reputed godfather of the Gambino family, was on his way.
The money up to the boss of the Gambino family, John Gotti, the boss of all bosses.
All right, so now he's saying he's going to meet the boss of all bosses. Now, the reason he would be the boss of all bosses is because the murder of Paul Castellano already happened, right? Now take a look at this, because he says this is the first time he ever met the Don.
In the Mafia, Gotti had heard that I was a big earner for the family, and now he wanted to see me. I knew this was it for me.
He heard of Ileto? Sure he did.
I was moving up the ladder to the top. I knew I couldn't get any higher than John Gotti.
But wasn't A-Light in on the killing of Castellano? Because they beat him, right?
This was my time. The first time I see John Gotti, I look at him with respect, fear, intimidation. He looks in my eyes.
All right, so listen. He says this is the first time ever that he's meeting John Gotti. And John Gotti says to him, he's basically inducting him into the Gambino family. Listen to what he says, that John Gotti says to him.
He looks in my eyes and he said, will you be loyal to this family above anything else in your life? Are you willing to give your life for me and my family? I said, I can do that. He said, you never, ever talk about anything we discuss here? And I said, 100%.
And then he went and talked about everything that he just talked about. So he's saying the first time ever he met John Gotti, he basically inducted him into the mob. Now, who believes this shit? Let's check back in with
Can handle ourselves.
With Johnny Boy.
And your dad actually beat you quite a bit.
About, I guess around.
All right, hold on. Let's see the 5 years old running 5 miles.
As well as you.
No, my dad was born in Albania, and my grandfather went back a couple of times, and then he eventually brought the whole family here. Yeah, well, because of the situation in Albania, suppression, and I just took it as my father disciplining me, and rightfully so, because look what happened to me. So I don't think him trying to discipline me was anything than a parent, loving their kid and discipline.
All right, so he says that he's the one that turned bad, right? He just said right there that he's the reason why he turned bad. And his father was disciplining him. Now listen, in the same breath, he says his father trained him to be a killer, a trained killer.
I didn't look at it that way, yeah.
Okay, and I read your book. And one of the things I found kind of interesting was in your household, in your neighborhood, not only was your dad hitting you, but I guess your uncles were allowed to hit you and your neighbors even were allowed to hit you.
Now, what kind of person would let their neighbor hit their kid? Unless their kid was just out of control. Because I don't get it. That's not an induction, but it's more on record with. Yeah, I don't buy it, Frank. Not at all. He wasn't on record with nothing.
My neighbor across the street was Guido Russo, and he was very good friend. He was a butcher, and he was a gambler like my dad, and he and his wife Loretta were very close to us. They were almost like an aunt and uncle to us. And so if we did something wrong and he seen it, yeah, he would discipline us also. And, this was normal for me growing up to be hit by neighbors, by uncles, and In that generation, I think it was almost normal in most of the households in my neighborhood anyway.
Hey, we got a Leto supporter here, I think, right, Frank? You an Leto supporter? Frank says, not Italian, it didn't matter. If you were in, you were in. Powerful people like, yeah, but he's not Joe Watts or Willie Boy Johnson or Jimmy Burke. He's a Leto, the Rambo of the Mafia. Now listen to him explain how at 3 years old, his dad trained him to be a trained killer.
And according to your book, your dad really didn't care whether you won or lost a fight, just as long as you didn't back down.
Yeah, he didn't want me to be a coward, actually. So
probably is a Leto.
My biggest fear when I was a kid was facing my father, not facing one kid or 5 kids on the street. He just wanted me to say I fought and didn't let anybody take advantage of me, which I thought, as I got older, I thought was a good thing also. I believed in what he believed in.
Well, here you are growing up in this household, and you know the violence starts early on. But in the beginning, it's just, you know, fists and slaps and stuff like that. And at one point, it actually starts to escalate into stabbings and baseball bats and so forth. So at what point were weapons used in your first encounter?
Here he comes with the lies again.
Well, me personally using weapons, my friends, with the situation in my life was everybody was violent. Between my uncles, my father, the people that were around, gangsters, and then my friends were all violent. So I think I was a little behind the starting point of most of my friends. So I think I watched a lot of my friends on the street using guns, knives, and bats from 12 years on up. Believe it, very young age. These guys were in Spofford and they were in the rehabilitation places. And
yeah, right. You cannot compare this guy to Jimmy Burke or Willie Boy Johnson or Joe Watts or any of them. You can't compare him to real gangsters. Like, this guy wants to be known as the Gambino Rambo. And he's not. He's just a clown. I didn't say I support him. It's what you read. Just listen to him, man.
In and out of juvie, and I actually was a little nicer kid, a little slow behind the mark of the rest of the guys. But I guess the first time I actually jumped in and used a bat or something like that was probably about 15 years old, 16 even, I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, the first time he used a bat was on a fucking field playing baseball. This guy wasn't baseball batting at people at that age. Because in his other interview, he doesn't say any word of that. He says his friends were doing that type of shit, but he wasn't. He said around 19 years old. Now, don't get me wrong. I think Aleto here maybe baseball batted a couple people. Who hasn't? When I was in high school, one of my friends got nailed right in the forehead with a bat. Rest in peace to Greg. He was a great kid, but he got nailed right in the head with a bat. I don't believe that he baseball batted over 100 people. I don't believe it. I know another guy who baseball batted someone, broke their arms, their legs. He went to prison. So you're telling me that Aleto here was able to baseball bat over 100 people and never get arrested for it? I don't believe you.
Okay, so 15, 16 years old, you get into a fight and you pull out a baseball bat.
I don't know if it was just, no, it was never a one-on-one thing pulling out a bat, no. So if it was pulling out a bat, it was either group thing of guys fighting and you're using a bat more as a defense thing, and I learned to be very aggressive with it. In other words, if I want to pull a bat, and the same later on in years, if I'm going to pull a knife or a gun, I'm going to use it.
You should use a baseball bat on your fucking co-host here because of what he did to his girlfriend. How come you don't baseball bat him for that? Instead, you let him live, right? He's your best bud. And you guys in the back of a fucking Uber with a pre-recorded video. Well, that's gangster if I ever saw gangster.
just to pull it to scare somebody. I didn't have that mentality. I have the mentality to be aggressive.
Well, the first time you hit someone with a bat, how did you react afterwards?
I was used to violence, so blood never, like, me and my brother talk about this all the time. We're 3, 4 years old. Most kids, when they're bleeding, they're crying for their mother. We were just used to getting bloodied up. I mean, me and my brother are still that way.
Batman, wow, bam, he is the BS man. Totally full of shit, man. Crazy. Like, how don't these people that are interviewing him start dying laughing? It's just too funny. Jennifer, how are you? Darren, what's going on? A rat is the biggest gangster. He's the biggest coward out there. I believe that. Hey, there's some people who want to see you in a gym, you and your buddy. They just want to have a, friendly sparring match. No big deal. You're such a tough guy. Why don't you take them up on that offer? There'll be some money on the table for both of you guys. So you guys are so tough. Go up to Queens. I'll go to the gym too. I'll meet you there. And I want to see if you guys can last. I really would like to see that. So if you want to take me up on that offer, reach out. We can make it happen. These people in Queens want to see you both.
At this age, we're aggressive with our mouths. We're aggressive with weapons. We're aggressive with each other.
With their mouths. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are aggressive with their mouths.
I'll tell the judge and prosecutor to suck my dick like I done before. Okay?
Huh?
Uh-oh.
You're aggressive with your mouth, huh, Johnny?
We've hit each other with bottles, bats, threw each other through windows. I mean, my brother threw me through a second floor window. So we're just used to it. And then at the end of the day, we end up making up, hugging each other and say, I love you. I mean, this is just our mentality. We're just a little dysfunctional, but, that's life.
Okay,
that's
your brother
life.
threw you through a second-story window.
Well, I landed on a roof. He did try to grab my leg at the time.
You see how the story changes? You guys see how the story changes? He asked him one question from a second-story window. He goes, oh, there was a roof. And he grabbed my leg. So we got 65 people in the building. Press the like button. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Hit the notification bell. If you guys want to help me out, you can donate to Chattin with Staxx, Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, Super Stickers, Super Chats, Zelle, all that good stuff. I have a lot of projects in the works, and I need funding. So help me help you. Let's get back to the content.
I mean, he wasn't looking to kill me. And in return, I hit him with a club. It was actually a piece of wood from one of the trees. I broke it over his ribs, and I broke his ribs. So this was, this is us.
Got it. Okay, so then around 17, you started getting into stabbing.
Yeah. About, I guess
aggressive
16,
mouth.
Somebody tried to shoot me, a guy named Patty Antique, and
Mr. Aggressive Mouth. He said aggressive. He said we're aggressive with our mouths.
I was around the Ruggiano family, who was, Fat Andy Ruggiano was actually straightened out from in the early 50s by Albert Anastasia.
And that has nothing to do with you. Why you would
to,
bring that up,
shoot
I
me as a
do
kid.
not know.
I went to Albert and these guys, and the son of Fat Andy Ruggiano, Anthony and Albert, and they helped me out with the guy. And so, the violence started very...
Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
With the mob at this point pretty well.
Okay, and you...
Merry Christmas. Ho, 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 ho.
I got stabbed up, batted, hit by a car, piped. I've been through the mill, shot in the upper thigh years later, but yeah.
Okay, but at 17, you got stabbed.
Yeah, 17, a little older than I think it was 18.
I have John A. Light with me as a guest. John A. Light was part
for us. So we were known, and my father was known in the area as king of the kids. He would bring kids down and learn how to box with us. And so some of our childhood friends, like Timmy Donahue, he's passed away also, was also learning to fight with us. My father brought us in and didn't want us to grow up in a neighborhood that was tough without being able to be tough.
Okay, he said that on the last interview, right? So watch his stories change.
So right off the bat, you're learning how to box.
Right off the bat.
Now, your dad, who was your dad personality-wise? Was he a gangster? Was he connected to anybody? Was he just a respected guy? Was he a money guy? Was he a worker? Who was your pops?
My dad grew up in Rivington and Delancey Street, which is a known hub, especially back when he grew up in the in the 40s and 50s, with gangsters like Vito Genovese were down there and guys like that, famous gangsters in those days.
They had no dealings with these people. Why he's bringing them up in these interviews? It's like, for what?
So if he was a hang-around guy, he wasn't a shooter, he was a gambler, but he stood with all gangsters, and he was very friendly with Lucky Luciano's cousin, Charlie Luciano. We used to call him Blackie. So I was introduced to him as a young kid. So my father was very familiar with the world of mob guys.
Was he trying to get you to stay away from the world? Like, what's the link? Was he kind of like, hey, you got to go out there and figure out a way to make money at all costs? What was the conversation like between you and your pops?
No, my dad was complete opposite. He was a gambler, a hustler, and didn't want me with the mob world. But at the same time, he was bringing me around these guys. So as he's telling me stay away, as I'm getting older, I'm getting attracted to the money, and I see my father struggling. And I see some of these guys, and they treat me well, and I'm getting attracted to that life, and I want that life.
You wanted that life?
I wanted that life. My father wanted me to be a pro fighter or a pro ball player, a baseball player. So he had a different outlook on things, and he didn't think, in my father's mind, I'm very close to my dad, is to teach me to survive, for me to understand the mob world, but to be like him. Don't go and dive into that world. And I guess he thought that I would never dive in, I'd be like him. But it was the opposite. I went to the extreme the other way.
You went to the extreme the other way.
What happened to I was born to be a trained killer?
Mom and dad both Albanian?
Both Albanian.
Both Albanian.
Both Albanian.
Okay, got it. And so he's trying to, encourage you not to get in, but at the same time you're around the environment, gambling, you're around. And at what age are you around these folks, by the way? Is it very early?
Very young, early.
Very early.
Very early.
And are they taking a liking to you? Like, look, we like, is there a name? Hey, little Johnny, were you like somebody that was liked?
Yeah, I was a skinny little neighborhood. We had an area called the Dome. It was up in individuals who will take it up, known for being at war since the Ottoman days.
So you guys just heard him on that other interview saying his father didn't want him involved with the gangster shit. He was a normal guy. Now listen to him on this interview.
No money. It was a third world country, suppressed communism. So when I came into, when I was born and my father came into the United States, married my mom, people really didn't know what Albania was. It wasn't like saying you're Italian or Greek or, another nationality that people really knew. Because the country was so closed down or locked down, you didn't have that many Albanians. So I grew up where my father believed in violence as a protection, not as a use to hurt people.
Okay, so he just said, my father believed in it to not be a use to hurt people. But listen to his next statement in the same breath.
Sure that I could handle myself and not get bullied in the streets. Where he grew up in Rivington and Delancey, down in Manhattan, Lower East Side, was a tough neighborhood. That's the neighborhood where Vito Genovese was born and raised, and guys like that, where my father became friends with them, but on the outskirts, not a gangster. He wasn't out there killing. He was a gambler. He was a street guy. He played dice on the street and stickball and box, and he knew all the gangsters, and he got very friendly with guys like Lucky Luciano's cousin, Blackie, Charlie Luciano, same name, and became one of his partners over the years. So these guys like El Greco, tough gangsters, killers, El Greco was the norm of people that I started seeing as a young boy, 3 and 4 and 5 years old.
Hey, see no evil, how are you? Miles, what's up? Maureen, full green light. Frank, what's going on, man? respect. Mazza flip-flopping. I think he infiltrated with A-Light. Hey, I don't give a shit. Mazza doesn't act like these scumbags. And listen, you know what, man? I think I heard enough of your bullshit, Frank. Get your ass to the front of the class, bitch. Man, you kill yourself down. We don't want to hear from you no more. Now have a good one. Now back to the
was on their
content.
laps in a Bronx Den card game that my uncle was partners with Luciano and Al Greco frequent, and it was basically the strong arm for them at that time. Guys like Handsome Jack, and these are some of the nicknames and guys that were my father's friends and partners. And
Hey Frank, where'd you go, buddy? Where'd you go? Oh, that's right. You can't comment no more.
Business and my uncles. So when I'm raised around them, I got a good look at a diversity of real serious street guys that without them saying much, you start understanding they're very powerful. You start understanding their control in the city, not just that Bronx card game. And so as a kid, it was very natural for me to be and see violence, whether it was in my streets, whether it was around my father's friends, whether it was in a boxing gym, or whether it was in the basement. My father had us in the basement.
All right, listen close.
Me at 3, my brother at 4. And he'd put gloves on us and tell us to fight. And, you know, when you look back, people would say, well, your father, you know, they look at him in a hard way. I don't. I look at him in a loving way, because what he taught me was to survive the streets that I ended up living in. You know, people say, well, your father was nuts for what he taught you. He didn't teach you schooling. My father taught me what he understood was the best way to survive. He did it out of love. He didn't do it out of trying to develop me to be into a gangster. He tried to develop me to be a pro ball player. And at the same time, he developed me into a killing machine without realizing.
His dad developed him into a killing machine. And his tools of the trade were a Louisville Slugger baseball bat. Mr. Electo is coming for your life, as long as your name is Georgie Grasso.
What he was doing to me. So I think the aggression.
A killing machine. He said he was running 5 miles at 5 years old.
Started with me just as a simple thing, riding a tricycle at 3 years old. And by the time I'm 4, I wasn't very coordinated, I guess, at those ages. I was very rough and tumble, and my brother was he was actually very graceful. So I would try to stay up with my older brother, which was very difficult because he was naturally graceful in sports and boxing.
What's up?
And I was very sloppy. And if somebody asked me to do something and go around.
His father developed him into the rattiest rat in the whole country. And he has his little rat partner there, Barillo Lips. Watch out for this guy. Barillo Lips got the flappiest lips around. Now, this is his business partner. Like, how serious can you take these guys? This is their new uniforms. Team Government. This is going to be his new uniform pretty soon. It won't take long. This is his dream of a lifetime. He wants to sell sausages, like for real. That's his dream.
A curve with my bike. I'd just go through it. I'd go through the bushes. I'd fall. And people would cringe, my aunts, my grandmother, and they would say, Johnny, stop riding that bicycle.
He said he would just go through the fucking curve. I believe that because he's fucking hard-headed. He believes his own bullshit. He believes this stuff that he's saying. He was developed into the universal soldier. Van Damme couldn't catch him because he had Roadrunner built into him also. He was running 5 miles at 5 years old. He was running 1 mile at 1 year old.
And instead, I just keep getting up and getting on the bike, and I'd be all bruised up. I'd be bleeding everywhere. And my mother would plead with me, just don't ride a bike. You don't have to do what Jimmy does, your brother. Just
But Dad made me into a trained killer.
do your own thing. So I was used to that blood, even riding a bicycle. I was used to the pain, and I started embracing it. The more that people said how tough I was, the more I played up to that.
Yeah, that's the huge difference between this guy and Larry Mazza. Larry Mazza is mature. He's regretful of the things he's done. He doesn't brag about it. And these guys try to attach themselves to people who are legitimate. And it's just no good all the way around.
Child, the more my father put me in the ring with my brother and he beat me up, the more I wanted to go in the ring and get beat up and show how tough I was. It wasn't necessarily about winning. It was about showing that I could take it.
He wanted to get beat up. He wanted to go in the ring and get beat up. He loved it. Hey, Paul, what's going on, man? Seem to have a great, but I need respect. The channel. Thank you. Right?
And as the years went on, I just got more aggressive. And I started running around the streets. And my friends were very, very aggressive guys. I come from a neighborhood where
he already has, Victor. He's already hurt women. We got the proof. It was a couple of fucking weeks ago. Well, this was last year. And oh yeah, this mugshot is this year. Like, wasn't it this year? He's been arrested quite a few times. Last year was I think it was one of his records. He was getting arrested left and right. Bang, bang, bang. Federal government was helping him out. It's insane. It's insane the shit that these guys get away with. He was putting a whooping on her last year. Look at this shit. And then he tried to say that she stabbed him. Then why did he get arrested?
guys were getting locked up at 11, 12 years old, and all my friends were killers, and they were shooting guys, stabbing guys.
All his friends were killers. But in this other interview, he said all his friends weren't killers.
100 guys that grew up with us in that neighborhood that lost their lives.
Now let me ask you, you said close to 100 guys that grew up?
Yeah.
So growing up as a kid, at what age were you forced to be tough to survive in that area? Is it right like 5, 6, 7? How soon does it start?
My father was a fanatic about fighting and not getting bullied. So at an early age of 3 years old, we were actually working out, doing push-ups, and learning to jump rope.
3 years old.
Do push-ups now. Oh, you're 3. Oh, you need your diaper change? Fuck that. Push-ups first. This guy's so full of shit, man.
3 years old, and we had a regimen of routines in baseball and boxing. Those were his two sports for us. So we were known, and my father was known in the area as King of the Kids. He would bring kids down and learn how to box with us. And so some of our childhood friends, like Timmy Donahue, he's passed away also, was also learning to fight with us.
Yeah, his 11 and 12-year-old friends. His 11 and 12-year-old friends were killers.
Grow up in a neighborhood that was tough without being able to be tough.
So right off the bat, you're learning how to box.
Right.
You need the Rocky music in the background of this, 100%. Yeah, he was the king of the kids. He would bring them down to the basement. Huh? Sounds kind of creepy, but okay.
Now, your dad, who was your dad personality-wise? Was he a gang?
In reform schools, they were in juvie, Spofford, drug rehabs at young ages. My friends were on a David Susskind show at 12 years old.
Listen, this guy's hit multiple. I'm surprised none of their family ever came through and handled it.
Why you? I'm gonna fix it. I did this to the you. I'm gonna fix it.
Behind door number 1.
Who are you? But I'm gonna fix it. I did this to the door. Who are you? But I'm gonna fix it. I pushed it.
We got door number 2.
I did this to the door. I pushed the door in. You're dirty.
You ruined it.
We got your ass on door number 3.
Paying for these women?
Yeah.
Paying for these women?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Are you paying for women, Gene? Why would you have to pay for women? I've never paid for a woman in my life. Why? What? Thought you were the bad boy of the Mafia. Just doesn't make sense.
Violence and drugs. I wasn't really to their level at that time. So,
wait, what? Didn't you just say you were a trained killer at 3 years old? Now you're saying you weren't at their level?
it was surprising for people to see as I kept aging that I was getting more and more violent, and I started slowly passing my friends as far as becoming that person that people really didn't think I was. But what they didn't see was the training that went behind it. At 3 years old, my father would have me down the basement doing 5 push-ups. At 5 years old, I was down the basement doing 25 and 30 push-ups a set. At 5 years old, I was running a couple of miles. I'd go to the track with my father, and I'd have to follow him while he was running.
Who believes that? He was running a couple miles at 5 years old. Does anyone believe this? I don't believe this, man.
Because he was a boxer. And I started running by 10 years old. I'm running 10 miles myself. And I was in extremely good shape. So I was sitting in a boxing ring, Lost Battalion Hall, with some famous fighters later on, was Jerry Cooney and different guys like that, David Sears, who fought Michael Spinks in the old days. And I look at these guys, and these guys were top-ranked, up-and-coming pro fighters that I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to be tough like them. I wanted to be an Al Greco as a gangster. So everybody that I surrounded myself with were tough guys one way or another.
Yeah, they were tough guys, but you weren't, because now you do shit like this.
Hey, guys, so
they're in the back of an Uber riding through Philadelphia, and they put out a pre-recorded video later. Make this make sense.
Obviously, you see me and Gene together again for the first time in a little while. And Mafia Unveiled, the John and Gene show. We're back.
That's right. So.
That's right. Hey, guys. That's Gene hanging his lips out the window.
We're going to give you something live right now. We're touring right now. We'll go.
Oh, you're going to give us something live right now? From the back of an Uber where no one knows where you are? How about you go live from a well-known place in Philadelphia? Show everybody where you are. I bet you won't do that.
Going to where I'm not allowed, Philadelphia. I don't know. So, what do you got to say about that?
Well, here's what I got to say. You just got back from California, Vegas. You were flying all over the place.
Oh, wait. Don't they have a movie? Yeah, they have a movie, right? That they're doing, some rap movie. Okay.
You're following back after my tour that I just did. Now we're going to be touring together. And after this, we'll be shipping out again and probably leaving the country for a couple of weeks.
Hey, when you leave the country, stay there. Wherever you go, just stay there. Because I don't think anyone in this country wants you here. You can take your little government rat FBI handler with you. You and him to go run off with your garbage bags into the sunset. Because nobody wants you here. You don't help kids. You want to pin another badge on your chest for the kids? You guys are clowns and you're frauds. And I'm going to expose you every chance I get. I appreciate everyone that watches this show. There's a lot more to come. Hit the like button, subscribe. Oh, his net worth's 1.2 million. That's the gross. That's the gross. That's the profit. That's just the profit. hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. And if you don't like this content, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. If you want to donate to the show, you can hit up my Cash App at Chattin with Staxx. Or you can hit up Venmo, PayPal, Super Sticker, Super Chats, all that good stuff. I appreciate everyone that takes the time to watch this show. I got a lot of great content on the way. Matter of fact, I'm going to play you guys a couple shorts before I go. Check this out.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Pech Tattoos, former mob associate, Serbian, Banano, and Gambino. And I'm chatting with Staxx. We go to the Bergen Hunt Club, you know, boom, boom, walk in. About 6 guys in there. He's sitting down. He didn't get up. Like, he just said, yeah, you're the guy giving me trouble. First words out of his mouth. You the guy giving me trouble? Said, sorry, but I ain't never gave, I don't even know who you are. I never give you trouble. Look at him. He's a wise ass. He doesn't know who I am. Of course, Junior's sitting there. I was like, him, I know. I go, he's trying to screw me. And I started saying, and the boss was like, shut up. I'm going to do this. So he explains the situation. But Senior is just literally looking at me like, now that's a score.
It's one story.
That's one story.
And there's tons of them.
And we're just talking about what his old man did with his crew and what Punch did when he was running under his old man and running on his own. It's insane what he did, okay? And I heard a lot of these stories, rumors, like sitting in the cafes and the social clubs, and I hear, hey, you heard what the Pink Panthers did?
Stay tuned. It's about to get real. A lot of great content on the way. Matter of fact, I got a live that I'm doing tonight. You guys don't want to miss it. It's at 9 o'clock. And there's a bunch of videos I uploaded on the video side under members. So if you want to join the membership, you can get exclusive content. I got a special guest going to join me tonight. I'll drop a link in the chat. Check this show out. She's got no game. Yeah, that's his problem. The most Aletto ever got from Gotti was a hello while you're carrying Junior's birthday presents. 100%, man. Thank you for the great show. Thanks, Thomas. I appreciate you guys. Thank you all for joining me. There's a lot more to come, and I'll see you guys soon. And remember, don't be a bitch.